everyone. Welcome back to the show. You've missed the show full of love, full of your primos, full of magic. Puro pinche magic it is. Aquí de nuevo, primos. Your favorite show hosted by Bones, Calavera Cosplay, Bear, Playmore, and of course your primo Freddy here at My Primos Productions. Bienvenidos a todos. Feliz año que todos. ¿Cómo han estado, primos?
Muy bien. My mom fed me a lot, so we had a lot of good Mexican food. Eli's living his best life right now. Just his best life.
No,
How
hombre.
about you guys?
Nah, for me it was just staying at home, to trying to keep the magic going for the little ones, and just to make sure they don't they don't you know they don't ask too much, or that we don't say too much about things. But in the end, it was a magical Christmas morning, so that was nice.
Hey.
Magical Christmas morning. Está bueno, está
Yeah.
bueno. Speaking of magic, remember you're here. We're talking about the things. We can talk about family. We can talk about food. Talk about the world. But vamos a hablar aquí de puro pinche magic. That's what we're talking about today,
Dale.
guys. Remember, you can follow us at puro pinche magic on all the socials and just let us know, hey, you're listening, you're watching, you're enjoying. Okay, so, and today we're going to talk about a subject that himself ha dicho en varias ocasiones, you brought this up some way, somehow, but you've never really sat down and had like a conversation that I've seen. But it's a conversation that I think people ignore, a topic that at times we just kind of like brush off and kind of, hey, it is what it is. It's just part of the game. Mulligans. Mulligans, mulligans, mulligans. Let's talk about mulligans and how they are overlooked. They're not considered. Maybe all of us here can share our thoughts on the mulligan and kind of. I know there's mulligan different rules on mulligans, so we're gonna talk about mulligans, primos, and kind of what it's about, what we think about, and why you should think about it a lot more than you have been. All right, let's go. Bear, start us off, man. I mean, this was your baby here. You want to talk about mulligans? Start us off. What do you think about mulligans in
Yeah,
general?
absolutely. Well, probably the main thing about that is that I'm always complaining about it, because we are as players, sometimes we don't make proper use of that resource the game is giving us to win games. And that's because of my mindset and my style of playing, normally CDH with friends. And I think that it's due because we are too laid back, too relaxed on when we're playing casual, when we're playing with
Forgiving.
friends. Exactly. We just say, just grab whatever you want, grab whatever you need, and keep it. While that feels good in the moment, my opinion is that it's not very positive for whenever somebody wants to go beyond that stage of playing Magic. I think we could start by defining or sharing with people what mulligan is, because there may be some new players out there, they don't even know about mulligan, or maybe they're watching this like 10 years in the future and they don't know that we had a different mulligan rule today than they probably have now. So.
True, 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 true. I mean, if I just hit the web right now, just on Wizards,
Mm-hmm.
Mulligan rules in Magic. The Gathering allows players to redraw their opening hand if they are unsatisfied with it. The current rule, known as this is the thing, known as the London Mulligan, lets
Mhm.
players draw 7 cards, then put a number of cards equal to the number of times they've mulliganed. So, for example, if you mulligan once, you put 1 back. If you mulligan twice, you put 2 back. Equal to the number of times they've mulliganed on the bottom of the library, bring a better chance of a playable hand. That's kind of the rule right now. Obviously, there's rule zeros. There's different tables. There's different mulligans, and that way we all can have. You can even have your own custom version of mulligan. But this is the mulligan that I know. Everybody on board with that one?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that the other mulligan that I've looked into, I don't know if I forget which one it is. I mean, please, there's other versions of it too, but the one that I remember is there's a Vancouver mulligan,
I
there's the
think that's the
Paris
one I
mulligan.
know.
Yeah, it's the Vancouver one where you redraw 7 cards. You pull 7 and you just throw everything back and draw another 7, and then or -1, excuse me, you draw 6 instead.
No, the one where you drop one down and go up. That's the London, but I thought the
Oh, okay.
Vancouver one you got to put down. Isn't that the one that you put cards, like a certain amount of cards, and then you get to draw back up?
You scry. It
Yeah.
says Vancouver Mulligan replaces the. Okay, so all right. Okay, here we go. The Paris Mulligan came in '97, allowed players to return their whole hand for a new hand with one fewer card. The Vancouver Mulligan replaced that, allowing players to scry one after taking a mulligan. So you mulligan, you scry one, and then you can put it back under, and then you draw and you move forward. Those are the methods that I've seen so far. For those that, again, mulligans are there. I want to piggyback a little bit on what Bear said and pass it on to you all as well. I think that the mulligan rule, it is a very it's a throwaway conversation because we don't really care. We're like, okay, fine. We want to hurry and play the game. At least in my opinion, right? I'm gonna speak for everybody. I want to hurry and get to the game. So sometimes maybe I may even give pressure to the table or the person going, hurry up, let's go. Like I want to get to that next game. But really when I'm playing, I'll sit there and I've even taken it. It's okay to drop down to 5, maybe 4. I don't know what's the lowest you guys have gone. I've gone down to about 4 cards, and then I've had like an uphill battle the whole time because I had lost card advantage. Bones, what about you? What is your take on the mulligan and kind of your rule there?
I feel like mulligan, it's one of those skills that is really pivotal to like learning how to do correctly if you want to up your game. If you can figure out how to mulligan correctly, magic, like how you play magic, is going to be elevated. I could definitely see that for like decks like Ragged Draga that I have, and it's like a mana dork. You get to know your decks and you know what is a good opening hand. Maybe not the best opening hand, but what's a hand that you can keep. Tend to not go farther down than 5. Like if I hit 5, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna figure it out. Going down to 4, it is not going to give me any more strategic advantage. It's going to be as difficult as it is with 5. But I know with Ragged Draga that if like I need at least like 2 in a mana dork, and I'm good. Hypothetically.
What are you, Bear?
That's Ragged Draga though.
You're muted, Bear.
Sorry about that. I didn't want to speak over anybody. I was just saying that I think what Bones just mentioned is the key to, at the very least, the first step of gaining the skill of mulliganing, which is knowing your deck. If you don't know your deck, it doesn't matter if you keep for 7 or if you go down to 3. You don't know the deck. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what to look for or expect for. So you really need to know your deck, your list, and have played it a couple of times at the very least to see how it feels and know what to expect out of your own deck. So it's really difficult to do mulligan when you are just playing your best friend's deck or somebody's, or if you switch decks with somebody else just for the game. I get it. In those occasions, in those scenarios, it's good to have a house rule for mulligans. But beyond that, probably once you know your deck more, you want to do proper mulligans so that you know how to just win the game against your opponents.
What's a proper mulligan? I mean, piggybacking on what you said, it all depends on knowing your deck, right? You've in the previous show, you said que tú corres like in some decks like 24 lands, right? Like small amount of lands compared to a lot of other people. So for you, and it goes hand in hand. I'm going to give you the credit for it, so you can go a little further. Is that if the fact that you play your deck enough, that we don't play enough Magic. We sit here and talk about it, and we don't play enough, or we don't play enough with the same deck. I have a dozen decks that I've built, but how often do I play with the ones that I really say, okay, this is the one I'm going to go with. This is my go-to deck, or am I more infatuated with the idea of building decks than playing them, which then takes away from the fact that, hey, how am I really going to get better at Mulligan? Because if I don't know the deck, how do I know that a 3-land hand is even good for me? You know, what if I need 4 or more, or what if I have color fixing? Right? What do you say to that, Bear?
Yeah, I do think it goes back to knowing what you want to do with your deck. you need to know the list. You need to know your mana curve. You need to know, hey, I may only have 2 lands, and I may not be drawing lands in 5 turns, but I know my deck, and I know that 50% of my deck is just two mana value cards. So I'm fine. If I only have the 2 cards, at least I know I can play half of my deck. So it's that kind of information what you need in order to make a good decision whether or not 2 lands is good or you just need one more. So, but I think you touch in a very good point, which is what's our mindset when we want to play Magic? Do we want to just try new things and see how they do? Do we want to go for, do the thing and just, I don't know, play a lot of zombies and a lot of bunnies, and if you win, that's fine? Or do you really want to go for winning because you're playing a league at your store or with your friends? There's a lot of factors to consider for mulliganing.
I would say that I think mulliganing is one of those skills that obviously it's easier if you know your deck, but it's a skill that if you could practice, that there is certain things that you can use deck to deck. So even in like drafting or in sealed, me and Eli have decided we're actually doing two-headed giant, but like when I'm drafting and I make my deck, the basic information of like I'm not going to know a whole lot about lore right now. You can hear what people are thinking, but until you actually play it, people could be like, oh my god, this format's going to be so fast, and then you can like actually play it and maybe find out it's not as fast as you think. So that's what I like about pre-release, is that everyone's kind of entering with the same information, but when I'm building my deck, I can look at it and look at my curve and be like, most of my deck is in 3, like most of it's 3 drops. So when I look at my hand, I know, well, ideally I should at least have 3, or look at my opening hand and see if there's anything that is playable. Like, do I have something to play the next like 2 turns? Because at least for me, that was the hardest part when I started, was I don't want to go down in cards because card advantage, but it took me a while to realize, oh, I'm actually putting myself at a disadvantage because I'm not taking that chance. And sometimes it comes back, but not being willing to go down into a smaller pool actually gives me less options, because if I have a 6-drop in hand and a 4-drop and a bunch of lands and I'm not pulling anything until like turn 4, then I'm just a target for 4 turns, especially if you're doing 1v1.
If we're doing, for example, the sealed event, right? Like everybody's kind of on the level playing field when it comes to card pools. We, like I said, I think we've talked about this in the past when we talk about, constructed, and even in Commander, where we talk about different level decks, level 3, level 4, certain expectations. But when it comes to the game in general, found that when it comes to Mulligan, like Mulligan ends up being where you need to know enough about not only your deck, but what you could possibly be playing against, because that ends up kind of giving you a rough idea of, well, what do I have to worry about? Because if I play, if we've all been there, whose fault is it if you play a 1-drop on turn 3 and with nothing to protect it, and it dies to removal? It's my fault, right? Like, it's my fault. I put it out there knowing that this person has 3 lands up, possibly 2-3 lands. Just say 3 cards in hand at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it's on me. It becomes a skill game. Like I've said in the past, a veces uno aprende puros raspones, right? A puros vergazos. Now I know. Next time I gotta be a little more cautious, right? Depending on what I'm playing against. On a 1v1, you get 2 shots. You can see, okay, the first run, this is what the deck's about. We're filling each other out. Second time around, you may mulligan a little more, or like, you know what? I need to get to my 1s and my 2s. But Bear, when we like focus up on like Commander, for example, what have you found, especially in CDH, is the mentality behind mulligans in your groups?
Yeah, that's probably where my complaint comes the most, which is sometimes we forget that we are playing at a competitive level and we want to make sure that we try to win, but we don't mulligan as if we wanted to win. So I see a lot of scenarios where people just keep 1 or 2 lands because that allows them to play things, but they don't look into what other players are doing or what the potential of other players casting impactful spells in the very first turns. my mindset is I want to try to advance my game, but I also want to make sure I have something to respond to somebody else. So that's kind of the balance that I go for. I see that a lot of people at the CDH level are trying to do that as well. But sometimes it doesn't happen like that. It brings a little bit of an imbalance at a CDH pod because you're in that mentality. You're hoping for all players to know that they should be trying to stop the Winota or the Nagilas or whatever, or the Ragadragas if you're playing against creatures. Some people don't, and it's fine. It's just a matter of like we said, playing more and more against the group of people, the same type of decks, and then you realize, okay, I may want to keep this because even though I just have a land and a 1-drop that gives me 2 mana sources for turn 3, but I have a counterspell in case somebody wants to go off. So it's kind of a balance that you need to find. But I love that you also learn a lot about mulligan when you were drafting, because you get to see what others may be keeping, right? And beyond the information that you have when you're building your deck, you see or you saw what others may have kept, and then that gives you a lot of information for you to do mulligans when you're drafting.
That is a
Yeah, you
skill I
hate
do
draft
not
too.
possess. That's a skill I do not possess. My buddies can tell you, like, they'll sit there and be like, "You're in red, you're in white, you're in this," and I'm like, I'm barely lucky if I know what colors I'm in. How the hell do you
Yeah,
do that?
that happens.
I think it's
Yeah.
crazy that we tend to Commander is like the popular format right now, but we tend to forget like draft is huge. Like when you play a draft, and people even say like that's the only way I want to play is draft, because it's like such that's the go-to way to play. You right?
Hi Sam. Hello Sam.
Yes.
Right? It's but for example, like you can choose. Like I like Arena because of the fact that I can jump on and play standard without having to buy paper games and paper magic and kind of run with it. And Arena's its own, which by the way I don't like. I play Brawl, but it's a headache because it's not Commander. I have my qualms with Arena, but I use it. I play it. I can't just sit here and bitch about it. But I tend to when I was playing Standard, dip my toe in that. I want to get some Final Fantasy stuff last year, so I find I'll build a Standard deck, try to get some of the promos. It is knowing the meta, knowing what is popular right now, like knowing what cards are popping off, knowing what is the decks you're gonna run into, and you have to kind of plan for that. So when you mulligan, there is something about it, and please guys jump in and correct me, but I look at it and I go, it's not so much what I'm gonna do turn 1 and 2, it's like what they're gonna do turn 3 turn. And that's where I get into my head. Is that the right way to think?
I don't know if it's the right way. Again, it depends. It depends what you want to do for yourself and in that game or in that pod. I was just going to say, for example, me when drafting is not for me. I suck at it. I don't know what to pick. I never know what the archetypes are. So for me, for example, when I go and draft or do a pre-release, no, not pre-release, a draft, a proper draft. I know I'm gonna lose. I know I have no chance at winning this at all. So my mentality is if I see shiny, I keep shiny, and then I build whatever I find or whatever I can.
Dude, that's a plane crash, dude. Plane crash. Don't just go
I
for the rare. Don't just go for the
I
rare.
just pick colors. I mean, I'll pick like a good color. Like if I do like a red to start off with, I'll like just try to pick the red and see if I can find something else. But like
Yeah,
once I have the colors that I'm looking at, very rarely pivot. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but like most of the time I'm like, you know what? I'm in these 2 colors. Any card that comes my way that is these 2 colors, I will probably just take those and colorless. That being
I
said,
hate draft.
there is times when I open pack 3 and I'm like, oh, this is the beautiful thing about draft. Splashing is a valid thing. Splashing is a very,
yeah,
very valid tactic because I did that once where I basically had a mono red deck and I splashed green for 1 card. A single card. I
yeah.
got the mana fixing
Crazy.
for it, and that's all you need. Yeah, I feel like mulligan just like ends up being like there is a basic skill that is good to just practice that is kind of universal in any format that you play.
What's a good tip? What's a good tip for mulligans? How's that? Let's try to round it out with that.
I think, I mean, for me, it's just deciding what is a playable hand. If I open it and I have a one land hand and like a bunch of high creatures, or even like a two land hand and like a bunch of like very like high, I don't want to keep that because I can play two lands, but if I don't get anything else, well, then I'm just stuck and I'm top decking creatures. So, like, it's basically, it's the like, do I have something to play ideally turn one, but if not turn two, maybe at like the bare minimum, and then kind of go from there. Like, that for me is like when I'm really struggling, I don't know what to do. It's the can I play something and be a viable opponent in like at least the first two rounds. I don't want to wait till three, especially in a 1v1 format, because that is really fast. You need something in turn one, the latest turn two.
Yeah,
Just mulligan. Put those big suckers at the bottom.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, because you don't want to keep that hand. I mean, that card forever in your hand, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
And that being said, if you're doing commander, like casual, you can get away with keeping mid things a little bit more. Like casual commander, it's a bit of a slower. So like ideally you still want something that you can play in turn two, but like maybe you could wait for something to turn three. People tend to take a little bit longer to build up board states, depending like power three and lower. But I feel like if you're doing four or even CDH, it's a different like you have to have very specific thing. Has to be playable and you have to be viable super early.
exactly. I think for me, regardless of the format, I think the very bare minimum is probably what you just said. Two lands, it's great, but you need to have spells that you can cast on turn one and turn two. Because if you're keeping two lands and you have nothing to cast, I mean, it's not going to help you, and you're just going to be attacked right away. So if you have the chance to play something to block or even attack and gain value out of attacking, but if it's just for blocking, putting a creature on the battlefield, at least in the very first turns, will make people who have played their creatures attack somebody else who may not have creatures. So, two lands and spells that you can cast on turn one and turn two, preferably creatures, so that you have something on your board state. And then beyond that, you will have a feeling on what's next in turn three. But at least for the first couple of turns, you need to have something.
Yep.
Question for both of you before I jump into mine, because I've had this thought in my head in more competitive. So that's what I've been playing recently, and even in other formats. When you have a combo piece in your opening hand, but it's not the appropriate hand, is that something you have to give up? Because you have to think in your head, am I going to be able to fetch for it? Am I going to run into it again? I mean, if you've built your deck the right way, you should be able to tutor for the item you need, right? Is that kind of the mentality, especially in the higher tiers? Or is it more so, hey, I just need to get on the board and be safe?
In my own experience, I don't keep combo pieces in hand because I know the chances, at least at that level, a wheel or somebody,
It's true.
just waiting forever for you to be able to cast your combo piece. Good for me, at least at the competitive level. Competitive level, I think it's always nice to mulligan for something that gives you card advantage in the form of card draw. Most likely, you want something like that. And then in second place, something that gives you value in the form of sources, either mana dorks or mana rocks, etc. So those would be like my top kind of like things to look for when I'm mulliganing. And then if you're down to three and all you have is a land and your combo piece, you keep that and then then just pray.
For
Yeah.
me, if anything that's helped me in with my formats when I play, it is helpful to know the commander I'm playing against. Like I am one of those people that let me read your commander if I don't know it offhand. I think it's very important to know what you're up against. Because if you are trying to be more competitive, you would assume that you watch the videos, you read the blogs, you listen to great shows like Puro Pinche Magic, and you learn things. Okay, you know what? I've heard about this commander. How about what it does? You know what? Okay, it's known for this reason. It has this reputation. Okay, cool. Like Winona. Okay, like we know what Winona does, right? It needs to attack. Okay, fine. So you know what? Let me prepare for how can I do something with that? Let me stop an attack. How can I, tap their creatures? Like, if that's what my deck builds around, or how can I outpace them? Even before I start whittling down my hand. And that's what I usually do is I look at my hand and go, well, that's a fast deck, that's a slow deck, that's a control deck. Okay, again, more than likely, and I'm always very risk attentive. I'm very much of the mindset of what would I do if I was facing me right now, knowing like if someone were able to look at my hand right now and know what I'm gonna play, what would they respond? And that's how I kind of get in my head about it. And I go, well, if I put down a turn one, am I gonna egg them on to use early game a kill spell? Am I gonna make them use a counter spell so early that later on, when I want to throw big combo pieces, they've already burned through most of them? Like, kind of get in early and then avoid and worry. Hey, you know what? They only have so many of these things. Like me, we make the joke. 100 cards sometimes isn't enough. You're like, shit, I don't have enough room. But what I'm getting at is, I kind of get into my head. That's how I kind of whittle my hand on and go, I have 2 lands. I can play something turn 1, maybe turn 2, like Bone said. Because if I go to turn 3 without doing something, it's blood in the water. Especially I feel in the tables that I play, I'm just gonna get beat up. I'm gonna have a fight to get back through it. So I have to be very cautious of what I'm playing against. And I would whittle myself down, like you said. I've had to let go of combo pieces. I've had to let go of good cards that I really want to play. You know what? The moment is what matters, and it's not what's gonna happen down the line. But I still have it in the back of my mind, so I do whittle my. I would say something on the lines of 2 to 3 lands feel safe. 2 feels a little risky for me in my play style, just for the fact that if I'm drawing into 2 lands, I've had bad luck. I mean, we've all been there, where I just simply top deck land, 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 land. And I don't need this land. I don't need this flood. Mulligans are a skill more so than just a game of luck or a chance, right? You have to build that muscle. And I think everyone here has kind of echoed a little bit of the same. It's just we need to be able to take those chances and just put the cards back. Let's see what we can figure out on our own. Drafting takes a lot of skill too, because it's on the fly. You don't have weeks playing your deck. You don't have months playing. You're going off the bat. And Commander, like Bear says, you should be playing your deck a lot more, especially and know it a lot more, especially if you're trying to be competitive.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bones.
No, I was just saying, like that's just one of those things that like it just comes with practice. It's a skill that you don't realize how important it is to know how to do it until you really realize that you're handicapping yourself by not doing it. So like for me, a good example is my Saskia deck. My like lowest card in Saskia, because it's red, white, green, black. So I know when I open that hand that ideally I want something that will tap for black mana or let me find black mana. Now I'm not going to just go down to 5, like 4, like 3 or 4 because I don't have it, but it's like, okay, ideally I want to be able to have that black mana as fast as possible because I want to be able to find it because I know I don't have much in that deck. But if not, I need to make sure that I am able to play the 90 other cards in like my deck, like I have to make sure that and knowing that I have a lot of double green mana pips. So it's like, okay, if I can't get the black, at least try to like solidify. I need that green mana and I need it more than the other ones. And then going from there. So that just comes with practice. And once you've screwed yourself like one time really bad where you're like, wow, I can't play anything because I didn't get that black mana and I didn't get that second green pip. And in my hand, I have 6 Sigardas. You're like, oh, I should
What
not
is
have
that?
kept that hand.
What is? I think I've seen videos. People do videos on them about they kept the 1 land hand because they have a soul ring. Then that was the reason they kept it. I mean, I've been guilty of it. Like, oh well, fuck, it's a soul ring.
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw a land.
Then it doesn't
Oftentimes
happen.
does not go.
But you know what? Sorry,
No, go for
Bones,
it.
go ahead.
I was just gonna make the funny joke of like whenever I've gotten to the point of like you said we've all been there where you've just pulled land, or you flooded or starved. I do that so consistently. My play group calls it pulling a bones, and if I am in green, any green deck I own, I have abundance in it because I have screwed myself so much on just land, land, land. I did that on Kuro's stream. I abundanced and I pulled 7 lands in a row, and he's like, "I watched you shuffle," and I was like, I'm gonna wait in line to get
It
that card
happens.
signed by Rebecca Gay. She's done
There
amazing
you
magic
go.
art. I'm getting her to sign Abundance and Taunting
Yeah.
Elf.
I was just gonna say that Bones and I were part of the Breakfast Club, which, if you don't know, we play every week. We play just with friends and we play Magic the Gathering online. But we have the particular scenario where we normally play decks we don't know, we've never played. And we have a theme every week. And it's just really interesting because in that scenario, at least in my case, I started to learn how to play the player rather than the decks. And I kind of learned a little bit of how Bones is playing, how Emar is playing, how Chris plays. So I started to learn how they play, and then I accommodate my mulligan
You
reasoning
learn their
behind that.
tells.
Oh yeah,
What it is. That's what it is.
Let's kill Chris.
Bones been winning. It's been winning the last 5 games. I'd say at the
I
very
thought it was
least.
only 3.
I don't know.
The last
I'm
Watch some
3.
always
of those
listening.
streams, and I swear Bones is complaining half the time. Like, oh my god, this is I guess I'll do this. So
And
now,
then
man, and then she
Hey,
wins.
I will say the last 2 out of nowhere, especially the one before that, I was like dead on board. I was like, "There's no way."
yeah,
Oh
And
Lord, I bored my.
this is on Twitch, right? Everybody can follow you on
on
Twitch
Twitch.
Wednesdays.
Yeah. On any of our streams, we have it right. Yeah, but all this to say was that even though mulliganing can be difficult and it's a good skill to learn, the end it's also a game of luck. You're gonna be depending on what you draw, and you may have never played your deck, but you may be winning because you're drawing the right cards, and that's the way it is.
It's a game of luck, it is, but it's also fun. It's a game of luck. It's a game of skill. It's a game, and it's fun, and we enjoy it. That's why we have these conversations. Primos, I hope that you guys enjoyed our take here on the mulligan. I think that's something we can practice. Everybody can practice it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like anything else. Like you play basketball, you gotta shoot all those free throws, right? And with this one here with mulligans, you just gotta do them as well. But before we go, I want to just give everybody, of course, a heads up here, and a moment to kind of just give everybody your socials where they can follow you, find you, bring up the Breakfast Club right there. They can follow you on Twitch, as well as I know Bear has posted some new videos. So Bear, start with you, man. Just tell everybody about your project and where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just find more about me if you go to berkeleymo.com. I am a Twitch streamer, content creator, focused mostly on CDH, but most of it is the community more than the game. I just recently posted a new YouTube video about Avatar and the CDH picks that we have. It's in Spanish, so if you wanna hone in your Spanish skills, so just go ahead and watch. And yeah, that's it. Just go to berkeleymo.com and you can reach out there.
The Cabbage Man is a dangerous, dangerous card from what I saw. It's
It
something
is.
que tenemos que tener ojo. Ojo for the Cabbage Man. Bones, what about you? Where can people find you and your socials?
I am Bones of Calavera Cosplay, an award-winning bilingual Mexican American creator, mostly in the worlds of Magic the Gathering. I am pretty much everywhere as Calavera underscore, and except for Twitch, I'm Calavera Creations, but I am stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now. Monday I do Rivals because I'm a obsessive personality. When we do Wednesday the Breakfast Club, and I started playing Kingdom Hearts 2 because that's my favorite game of all time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will be at pre-release. I'm sure I'll get back on the Magic train. I've been a little bit quiet on it, but that's also because the anime season right now is on fire. And I will say I love Magic. Anime is my first love, and I'm a little too deep in the rabbit hole
I
right now.
haven't jumped into the new season of JJK yet. I have to wait. I have to stack it up. Don't you're not the only person that's giving me that face. So I need to just
I
they're
told
like
Eli that
what?
I'm watching it without him, like because he's like, I want to wait, and I was like,
I gotta
one
stack it up. I gotta
episode.
stack it up.
January 22nd is going to be the peak. The peak episode, and I'm so here for it. I'm here for the Maki supremacy.
But Primo, stay tuned. We are going to bring you our thoughts on the Lauren set coming out here in a couple weeks. There are tons of cards coming out, and people are saying it's a return to what Magic was. It's exciting. We have thoughts, though. To be fair, there's a little bit of a kind of conversation about going back to that kind of lore, and also just the fact that can Magic go back to what it was? So we'll have these conversations, these thoughts. Y Primo, siempre todas las gracias. Remember, you can follow us at Puro Pinche Magic. Stay tuned. We'll have more. You can follow me at My Primos Productions. If you're into comic books, fandom from a Latino lens, check out My Primos Podcast. And just, of course, como siempre, pinche is such a beautiful word. It's a funny word. It's a great word. Depending how you use it, it can be magic. And that's why we're here talking puro pinche magic. Primos, cuídense. See you next time.
Denos un pinche follow.
Un pinche follow.